What is up, everyone? We are back for episode 106 of the Game Cast. I am one of your hosts, Kenny, and with me is Tess.
Hello, everybody.
And yeah, we decided to take a break, a nice long break, because we needed it for health
Yeah,
reasons.
yeah.
Personally, I needed it because I didn't realize that I was burnt out. For the people who
Yeah.
follow me, um, you know that I've been doing a lot of written work for different places, and while it might not look like that, I guess in terms of how often I'm posting things, it's mainly because a lot of the articles that I write don't come out the same day that I write them. Like I'll write about something and then it'll go through the editing process and eventually it'll come out after the embargo lifts for
Mhm.
whatever, and then you'll see it. So you might see a bunch of posts and then nothing and then a bunch of posts and then nothing, but I actually wrote it all at the same time. And so or around the same time. So for instance, I was talking about it on, a couple of podcasts ago, how I had multiple things coming up that were
Mhm.
lined up where I was reviewing different films and stuff like that. And one of them talked to me actually was really dope because I got a screener invite. So I actually went to the theater to watch that and then write my review. And I was doing that in the midst of writing my They Clone Tyrone review, in the midst of writing my Sonic Prime review. And so it kept going, and which is good,
Mhm.
because I had a goal, and one of those goals was to be, you know, accredited on Rotten Tomatoes, but not accredited in the sense where I was before, where if I write for like IGN, my stuff
Mhm.
automatically goes up there because of the site. Whereas now it doesn't matter where I write, as long as I wrote it, it goes on the site. You
Yeah.
dig? So um, and that happened. I was super excited. I was like, "Yay!"
Yep.
And immediately, like all the energy drained from my body, and I didn't realize that I was burnt out until because my wife always knows before I do. And I was like, "Man, I'm tired. Like I don't understand. I got 8 hours of sleep. I'm working out, and I'm not fatigued from the workouts and stuff like that. I just should have more energy."
Mhm.
And she started asking some questions, and then she was like, "I think you're burnt out. I think this is like what happens when you've been working for so long and you don't have a break at any moment in time." And
Yeah.
like writing isn't the only thing I do. We have this podcast, I
Yeah.
stream, I do a bunch of other things. Also, I'm a
Mhm.
dad, so I homeschool, a bunch of things. And yeah, I was like, man, I am tired, like just
Yeah.
mentally exhausted.
Yeah.
And it just so happens that it coincided with you, Tess, and like, things were going the way they
I
were going for
know.
you. And so I was like, you know what? Maybe this is a time to take a break. Like
Yeah.
we should just chill a little bit. Just live and just be, and
Yeah.
you know, and while that was a little awkward for a little while, it was like this is really good, like for my mental everything. And
Yep.
so we haven't been recording or whatnot, even though there's been tons of things to talk about. There's been
Lot.
a lot to talk about, and even outside of because I know at one point I didn't want to talk about certain films or TV shows because they were a part of like the strike is going on,
Yeah.
and I don't want to. While I'm not necessarily obligated, I don't want to overstep in terms of potentially promoting something, whereas the actors and writers are protesting. You know what I'm saying?
Yes. Yes.
But even outside of that, there was a bunch of things to talk about. And so this week we decided to come back, and we're feeling a little bit better.
Yeah.
And so we're like, yeah, let's do it. And it's the timing is great because we
It is.
have we have a moment in time that has been solidified by Black Twitter. For those who don't know, when something happens, we tend to, whether it's something traumatic or something like really really serious, or or just funny in and of itself, we tend to make light of it with jokes. And
Mhm.
there was a incident in Alabama involving a black security guard, a bunch of white, I assume drunk people, and a bunch of black people coming to the rescue, and it was great. It was
Yeah.
like the Avengers coming to the rescue
Do,
and beating the mess out of a bunch of
do,
people.
do, 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 do,
It
do.
was it was great. It was great. And let me preface by saying that we don't condone violence. We're not like, yay, people got beat up. But at the same time, we're like, yay, 'cause people got beat up. For people who don't know,
Instant karma.
um, it's yes. Um, so there was a brawl in Alabama. There was a security guard
Well,
or
he
just
was
a
actually co-captain of the boat.
oh, he was a co-cap.
Yes,
Okay,
he
so
was
there you
actually
go.
co-captain of the
So
boat.
the Harriet 2, so there's a place on the docks where these boats can, like, I guess, park or whatever,
Not
and there's a
anymore.
spot that is set up for the Harriet. It's a tourist base boat,
It's
and
a
it takes
riverboat.
yeah, it's a riverboat. It takes people up and down the river, and there's a spot that's designated for it, so you can't
Hmm.
park there. It's like thinking about, like, if someone were to park in a handicap spot. None of the people were disabled, but it's something like that. Like, this is a no zone for you. And
Hmm.
so he went over and was like, "Hey, you guys got to move. This big boat is coming with all these people. You got to move." He's doing his
Hmm.
job,
Hmm.
and they're not trying to hear it. So he's like, "Well, you got to move." So he starts to untie the boat. They get, and these are all white people. They get upset, and they are, one of them approaches him, and the black guy tosses his hat in the air, like he's like, "I guess we're gonna fight," and then a bunch of white guys jump on him. So I thought that was gonna be the extent of the video when I first saw it on Twitter. I was like, "Oh, this is." So we're just gonna watch a bunch of, because we a lot of our trauma is posted all over social media all the time. So
Yeah.
I'm thinking this is another one of those. I'm not expecting, and I was getting ready to, like, click away, and then I saw black people coming from so many different directions to help this one guy. Fam, whoever jumped off the boat and swam over
Black woman, also
the
known as Jamichael Phelps, also known
yeah,
as Makai Phelps, also known as Aquaman, also known as the man who delivered the fist of filet,
yeah,
like what filet o fist,
yo, he
Black
swam.
Manta.
Someone has to get punched. You can't swim that distance and not swing on someone. It's just how it's gonna be. You cannot do that. He was like, "You made me get wet. Like, I jumped in the water. I trans. Multiple things happened in this scene, right? Not only did he, like, eradicate certain stereotypes when it comes to black people not knowing how to swim, not only is he not doing the thing where, because a lot of people had their phones out and they were recording. Not only was he one of the bystanders that were just recording it just to record or to get
Hmm.
social media points or whatever the case may be, he also threw hands, like, and was successful in the hand throwage, like
Yes.
tossing people left and right, and knocking people over. Someone got thrown in the water. People were getting dragged. One guy took up a folding chair and hit two people. And what's crazy is that when he was doing it, the police were there. Like, the police actually showed up, and because the people were saying, like, "Oh, these are the aggressors," they knew who the captain was. They knew certain people, the staff of the boat, who also got out and helped the black man fight. They knew who these people were from the town, and so they were already on their
Mhm.
side. And he goes and whacks a guy with a chair, and then turns around, and this woman, and this was too far. He hits a woman who was
You
sitting
know
on the
what? You know what? Okay, so this is I'm gonna jump in here because when I originally told the story to my friend that like Sunday morning, okay, when I was on the phone with my best friend and I was watching these while I was on the phone with her,
yeah.
I had said I was like, oh, that was too far, and she was like, no, it's not, and she went in. She didn't even watch the video. She said it's not too far because if you, I don't matter if you're a woman, so you want to throw hands on a man, you're gonna get hit by a man, okay?
Fam, she was already down though.
She was already down.
The dude's wife, or whoever's, because there was wives, the wives were fighting too, and she was already punched several times and was knocked to the ground. So she was done. She was out of it. And he went, like, straight WWE, chair to the cranium on some Jeff Jarrett
But
shit. And I
that's
was
because he
like,
has
that is
PTSD.
amazing.
The
Like,
chairman of the boardwalk, the chairman of the
right.
boardwalk has PTSD. And when
The
he saw what was
chairman,
happening to his fellow Black people, he just reacted. He probably doesn't even remember that it happened
the
because of his
chairman.
trauma.
Oh, weak. Oh man. And but and then there was a part where, because there's multiple angles. There's a part where I guess the people tried to pull off on the boat, like, after it went down, because they realized they were getting ready to lose. There was way too many black people here, and they were like, "No, you're not leaving. What, you thought you were just gonna leave?" Like, You're gonna jump him and then leave. Like you fam, there's no one's
No.
leaving yet. No
Look,
one's
look.
leaving.
This is the sequence of events. The sequence of events was this. The Harriet is sip and whatever, sip and I don't know, sip and see, I don't whatever they call it. These people, all kinds of people, okay? Black people, white people,
Right,
Creole
right,
people. Everybody is on this. They're having a good time. It's Sunday brunch. Have a good time. You're on the river boat, okay? Having a good
right.
time. If anybody has ever been on a big boat like that, if anybody has ever been on, not even big boat, boats. I was on a powerboat adventure in Bahamas years ago. The boats got to moor. They got to come in and they have specific places
Right.
where they're allowed to be, just like we have discussed already. And they had to wait. They were already waiting 30
Mhm.
plus minutes. They could not, and they're sitting there like, are these people legit? Are these people serious? They're not going to move their private boats? I mean,
Right.
like no joke, people on private boats have entitlement issues because even when I was in Bahamas on a private island on a powerboat adventure on a private island, no one else is allowed to come here. There were people on their own private boats who pulled up to the island. They saw other
Yeah.
people on the island. They're like, "Oh, we're going to pull up here." They pulled up to the island. They tried to get off. Oh no, the employees, they went right up there like, "If you don't leave, like you got 5
Yeah.
seconds to the private island, leave." And they were like, well, they realized there's nowhere for them to dock. The only place that they could have docked for the island, like legit dock. Otherwise, you're just kind of in a channel that has a current.
Right.
Your boat's not going
Yeah.
to be there when you come back.
Exactly.
um, but anywho, the point is they were waiting forever for this to get off this boat. These people want to get off the boat. They have other things to do with their lives. Okay.
Exactly.
The co-captain, this man, I forgot his name. I forgot his name. I'm gonna pull up all the names. We gonna get all the names because we gotta speak to their names so that we can actually have conversations. But he
Oh,
is
and while you're looking that up too, I just want to say, the people that had jumped him, they have been arrested, and then 3 more people who had
mhm,
fled the scene have also been arrested, all white
great.
folks. I think the
Yeah,
only person that was apprehended that was black was the guy with the chair, and that's
it's there.
because of the second hit of the
Yeah.
woman, not because of and I think he got off too. But
Yeah, they
yeah,
just wanted to speak with him, and that's why everybody.
right,
The best part about the internet is that they're like, "We would like to speak with him." Everybody's like, "What chair?" Because we would like to speak to the man with the chair. What chair? I'm sorry, what? We didn't see a
right,
chair. None of us saw a chair. We don't know anything about a chair. Who are you talking about?
yes,
Did you see a chair? I didn't see a chair.
and
What chair?
they was
Boardwalk? What?
and there were and for people who also don't know, like there was the captain, one of the co-captains was saying that this isn't the first time this has happened. Not the fight. The fight, this is the
Right.
first time a fight has happened. But
Yes.
this happened where someone is, a private boat has pulled into a spot that they're not supposed to be. And there's
Yeah.
signage there. I think they were drinking, to be honest. There's
They were.
signage there to
They
tell you not
were.
to be there. You know,
They definitely were inebriated because you really don't understand how you would have that kind of caucasity. I mean, typically they have that kind of caucasity on a daily basis, but this caucasity was like hella caucasity. So
super Karen. Yeah.
yeah. So anyway, so the Mr. I didn't get his name yet, but the co-captain, he had to take another boat. He got off of the Harriet.
Mm.
Okay. The Harriet, named after Miss Harriet Tubman. Um, okay, there's just so much symbolism here. But he had to
Right.
get off but he took a smaller boat to the dock, okay, so that he could tell these people to move.
Right.
And they wouldn't do it. And he continued to tell them over and over again. The best part is like when you were watching the video, basically the first video, the one that everybody says, hey, this is the earliest of the footage that we've got. You
Right.
see him continually, he's like pleading with him. There's somebody on the boat that says, no, stop explaining to them. They already had their chance. No,
Mm.
just go untie their boats. And you see the part where he goes like this. Okay. There are a lot of symbols in the world when it comes to, different cultures of people. But when you see Black people go like this,
Right.
it's nanoseconds from popping off. Okay,
Yes. Clapping of
nanoseconds.
the hands.
The
Mm-hmm.
clapping of the hands like this means that something is about to pop off. He is telling them, you got to go. Okay. This conversation is ended. The craziest part about this is that the dude with the like gray shorts comes out of nowhere and just bum rushes him and pushes him. He didn't get violent with any of them. He's telling them and he just bum rushes and pushes him. And as soon as that happens, that's when the dude goes, oh, so you want to fight? And when that hat went up, everybody, we're like, this is a universal signal from now on,
Yes.
universal signal that we are assembling. Because
Yes.
at no point in time was these boaters, at no point in time were their hands necessary on this man. He didn't threaten
Of
your
course.
life. Like, it was just, that was so unnecessary. So putting your hands on him was one thing that was wrong. But then when the dude with the red shorts just decides to come out of nowhere, and then it just becomes, they were attacking him, they jumped him, they had him on the ground, they were kicking him. I said, as soon as I saw that black man from the top, the dude in the black shirt, the man who,
Yes.
I don't know, the 6'3" dude, okay, the tall man in the black shirt who said, honestly, you can't hear him, but all I heard was, oh, hell no. That's what I heard. That was what I
Facts.
heard. And he just ran down them, whatever those types of stairs, the ramp.
Yes.
He jumped in that so fast. As soon as he could not get there fast enough. He couldn't get there fast enough. And he got in there. And he was just, the truth is, he was actually just trying to pull them off of him, because by this time, our co-captain is on the ground. He's on the ground. He's really just trying to get them off. And this is the thing I'm going to say about these women's that decided that they wanted to come and get in this fight. You a woman, you've been drinking, your men instigated this fight, okay?
Yeah.
Your men instigated this fight in which they are jumping a black man in Montgomery. The fact that you decided that you needed to put your bodies in harm's way, you're stupid. You're dumb, and you deserve all the blows that came with you. I have no sympathy for you, sorry. Not at all, because just like our lovely friend Tiffy Starchild has said, she said, as a woman, if I see my man in a fight he started, okay, and we're not talking about my man is fighting somebody because they called me the N-word, my man fighting somebody because they called me out my name or abused me, and my man protecting. No, this is your men's just being stupid and racist for all we fucking care. And then you decided, instead of standing back and being like, I'm going to let the men do this because they're stupid, or I'm going to get on my phone and maybe call the police to stop this nonsense, or I'm going to call my employer to make sure that our health insurance is intact. Because those are the only things you should be doing. You should be being a secretary, woman. Stay the hell out of the grown man's business, especially when they were the instigators and started the bullshit in the first place. But no, your dumbass decides that you want to go get into the fight. Well, then you're going to catch a fade too. Okay? Okay?
We cutting everybody's hair today. Like, that's what it is. Like, it's Bootsy for you, Bootsy for you, Bootsy for you. Like, and the thing is, like, even if they didn't start it, these are men fighting.
Yes.
Stay over there.
Stay over there.
Stay over there. Go get help. Go get help.
That's all you need to do.
You all have cell phones.
When Halle Berry's men were fighting, when Halle Berry's when Gabriel Aubrey was fighting Olivier Martinez in front of her house, they got into that. She said, you know what? And she called the police, even though she was married to these dudes. Like, she called the police and said, help.
Stay out the way.
Stay out the way. Because if you don't stay out the way, you're fixing for a beating. And at this point, you deserve it, because I'm sorry, those women were on camera kicking him on the ground. So I don't even care that you got hit in the head with a chair at this point. I mean, when I saw the video, I said, oh, that was too far. And then I sat and marinated on it. And I said, you know what? No, because you kicked him in the head. I don't care. You kicked him in the head. You deserve to get hit with the chair because you kicked him in the head.
Bam. Look, the fact that the wives pulled up and I don't even know, sisters, wives, black women pulled
Yeah.
up
Oh
and
yeah,
was beating up all the Karens, and that was great.
they did.
That was great. It was like,
That was
oh,
beautiful.
it's action for everybody. Everybody
Yeah.
wants to smoke. It's not just the men, because, like you
No,
said, if because nobody would have touched them if they would have stayed out of it.
they stayed out of it.
They stayed out of
The
it. No one
women
would
would
have
have never
touched them.
jumped in. The black
Right.
women wouldn't have got, because when the black women got down the ramps, when they ran up on them, and when the black women got on the docks, they went straight for the women. They
Exactly.
went
They knew what the
straight
assignment
for
was.
them. Yeah.
They knew what the assignment was.
Yeah, they
Like,
grabbed hair, they dragged, they did everything. They went after the women. The only reason why that one dude threw the woman in the water was because she was fighting, and she
yeah.
was fighting the men. So he was like, "Oh no, you got to catch it too." And he said, "Boop boop boop," and threw her in the water. My favorite part. We need to discuss our favorite parts of the entire interaction, because I will tell you, my favorite part. I was talking to my friend on the phone about this. My favorite part is when the boat finally docked and all of the dudes got
In the
off.
blue shirts, yes.
Okay, blue shirts, and then the dudes without the shirts. First of all, again, we were talking about universal signs. Something is about to go down. Hat flying off in the air. It's going down, okay? A black man skipping towards you without a shirt on means your life is in imminent danger. He's not
Yes.
skipping toward you because he wants to play Skip to My Lou. He's not skipping toward you because he wants to play hopscotch. He's not skipping toward you because he's a double dutch champion. He's fitting to take your life. Okay?
He's
And
excited about it. Like,
he's excited about it. Okay? It is a universal signal that you are about to get a beat down. So
yes.
my favorite part is they go over there and they right, and then the like two there's like 12 dudes, there's 12 black guys right at this point, right, and it's like two white dudes who decide they want to run up. When those two dudes start catching it, the one dude, this is my favorite part, the one dude says nope. He nopes out of it and he dives into the water.
Yes, I saw that.
My favorite part.
He left his friend.
He said, I am, he's like, I'm too pretty for this. That's what he said. He's like, I'm too pretty for this. I have a casting call next week. And he jumps into the water. And then the woman goes, she's like, she helps him out of the water. I said, do you guys realize how dumb you are? This whole thing never needed to happen.
Right. Right. Just move. And the thing is, it's not even like they couldn't have moved a little. Because when they, at least from what we saw from the boat that was actually coming, that where they docked, they could have moved just a little bit.
Yeah.
And like, and granted, I don't know how big the Harriet is, but like there was other places for them to dock. All they do, all they just move. And then from there, it's like, oh, you wanted to fight the captain. If it was one-on-one, this wouldn't have happened. They would have pulled them apart. The cops would have been called, wherever the case may be. But you guys went overboard.
Yeah.
And then are surprised at the response.
Mm-hmm.
Like, at the very least, the staff is going to have a problem with you when they reach the shore.
Thank you.
But anybody else watching is like, we're just not going to lie. Because there's a difference. Like, when it comes to police, it's the idea that what you can and can't do that, may or may not get you arrested, may or may not get you shot even.
Yeah.
So the best thing you can do, and a lot of times, is to record or to call another cop, potentially. But you can't really physically do a whole lot. But when it comes to you guys not being police officers, no, you can catch these hands. Like, that's just what it is.
You're catching hands.
And being dragged up and down the boardwalk. That just
like,
because you would.
Like, splinters everywhere. Splinters everywhere. You deserved it. You need lasting marks to tell you, hey, the more you fuck around, the more you'll find out. Did you not see the meme? It was a white man who did the meme and was trying to tell you in the video. He said, you see, let's check you see, the more, because the axis, I'm going to do it.
It's like eventually.
The axis, F around, find out Okay, if everybody took algebra, you realize, okay, that the more you F around, the more you find out. Because algebra, right?
Mm.
MX plus B equals C, I don't know, whatever. But the lines intersect here. I got an A in algebra. The lines intersect here because the more you F around, you find out.
Facts. They found out a lot that day. They were, man, the Discovery Channel amount of information they got. Like several libraries of books, like encyclopedias worth of information. You
Like
found out a
essays
lot.
are going to be written about this,
Hidden
dissertations.
trail, like just hidden treasure boxes everywhere. You found a
A
lot. You found a lot for
lot.
your troubles.
Like, don't
And the memes are
look
great.
good. They're
The
so
memes are
good.
great.
They're
I
so
think
good. They're
the folding chairs. I think did you know that they're selling? Folding chairs have started selling. That is madness, fam. We just like WWE
never,
has never,
never.
never, never, never made the chairs soar. This
Nope.
moment, fam.
No.
This
Like,
is, oh my
there was
gosh.
this one TikTok. The girl, I mean, obviously the guy in the video she knows. This black woman, she's at the store and she's in the chair aisle. She does some hardware store. She's the chair aisle and she's looking at chairs and she picks up one and she's like, and then this white man who works at the store, he's walking behind her. She immediately goes and like swings in and he's like, so it's just the context or the thing was stay ready so you don't have to get ready. And then, but she was like, she didn't hit him. She was just like he flinched, and then he was like, and then he walked. And obviously, this is satire, but it's out of control. Like the amount of chair jokes out there. You've
Yes.
got the chair with the do rag and the black Air Forces. You've got the chair. With his face, he's interviewing the chair, and the chair was like, "Oh no, I'm white." He's like, the chair is like, "I'm white, but I'm on y'all side."
Yo. Oh my gosh.
Not interviewing the chair, and the
Bruh.
one guy he was like letters from the war front of Montgomery, and it's like Ethel. Unfortunately, we've lost the battle. Cletus lost his tooth, making sure that you guys understand that he only had one tooth to begin with. Cletus
Facts.
lost his tooth. Jebediah is whatever, and he's like, send bail money. I can't. I cannot. It is too funny because all of the people who have sense, okay, you do not have to be black to have sense,
Right.
okay? All of the people that have sense are saying, no, those people got what they deserve. You cannot jump
Facts.
a black man, on the same docks where slaves were stolen and brought to be sold in broad daylight, beat up a black man for doing his job, his actual job, and then act like nothing is going to happen to you. The police aside, you cannot believe for 5 seconds that people are not going to come at you correctly. Hands were the only solution here. Hands. That was it. There
They
was
were
nothing.
lucky it was hands.
Yeah,
They were
they're lucky
lucky it was hands and a chair.
in one chair. Okay. It was just hit because at the end of the day, what are people online saying? They're saying, they're like, yo, things can be settled with hands, good old hands, because some people have to fuck around before they find out.
Yes.
This is just the way it is sometimes. And it's unfortunate for them. It's unfortunate for them because not only did they get their asses beaten publicly, okay, they all been arrested.
Yep.
All right. And the fact that this one woman, this black woman, was given play by play, and the cop came to her to say, hey, what's going on? Because by the time the cops got there, they didn't know what was happening. It was insane. There was
Right,
people
right,
getting
right.
beat up every 5 feet. They
Yeah.
got there because the cops didn't show up for 18 whole minutes after they were called. So by the time they got there, the brawls were all up and down the boardwalk, and they're like, what are we supposed to be doing right now? And then they're
Yeah.
getting information from people, and they're like, that one lady, she's like, it's them right there. It's them right there. And then she just keep going. I loved it. I was like, and then he said to her finally when she cut her phone off, he was like, do you have video to show me? Like, can you show me proof? Because she had all of the video. She had every last second, every piece of information that was necessary to show
Right.
that this black man was doing his job. They put hands on him first, and every other black person that put hands on a white person that at the dock that put hands on those people was coming to this man's aid. And that's why it's like, you know what? At the end of the day, like if these idiots want to press charges, they want to say, you know, I want to press charges for battery because, you know, battery at the end of the day is the unwanted touching of another. Go ahead and do it. You can. You have every legal right. You have an American right to do so. Will it get thrown out? Absolutely. A judge will not hear. A judge will be like, so you put your hands on them first? You put your hands on somebody first, and then you got hands thrown on you, and you think that we're going to charge them?
Yeah.
Yeah, no, it's not going to work.
Yeah. No. Especially when it's freaking documented from several different angles. Like
there are 30 angles.
You have nothing to stand on. You have nothing to stand on. We've seen this from so many different angles that it's like new footage came out to the point where I was like, oh, I didn't know you got beat up that bad. Like I was like, oh, I saw the guy got thrown, and then I saw this dude got punched in the face, and this one got dragged down the boardwalk. And then I'm like, all right, so you know, we handled our business. And then another angle, I'm like, oh, I didn't know Shorty got thrown in the water. And then the camera flips over, and then there's the chair dude just smacking people. And I'm like, wow.
I don't even know where he got the chair. Everybody said, where did he even get the chair? Where did
Was that on the boat? Like,
was it on the boat?
Was it like behind a glass, like break in case of emergencies?
This is why there was no chair. This is the Matrix. There is no spoon. There was no chair. Okay.
Oh man.
He was just like doing lightning flash hits that it looked like a chair. And that's what it was. Leave that man alone. There was no chair. I'm sorry. I didn't even get the names out because the names are not necessary. Y'all
Chairman works for me.
Chairman of the boardwalk.
Freaking Avengers. Like I said, Aquaman and Chairman.
Michael Phelps. They said,
the skipper. The skipper.
The skipper. Yo, I will never, I mean, and it will never not be funny. This is gonna, I mean, there's t-shirts, y'all. You can memorialize it. They're calling it, people are saying that it's a holy day. Like it's out of control.
So fast. We move so fast. The fact that there was shirts for sale.
Immediately after. The shirts were on sale at least by Sunday morning. I mean, I know they were on sale by Saturday night, but Sunday morning, by the time I got on Twitter at like 7 a.m. is when I saw everything. And I was like,
facts. It's like if they weren't rushed, I'd probably get one. Like,
right?
It's hilarious. Yo.
So you remember years ago that chair purse, it's not really a purse because it doesn't hold anything, but it was a bedazzled chair. And the fact that is coming back, like everybody is posting that, it is hilarious. It's so funny. Yes. Because I remember when that was a thing and it was like, this is hilarious now, but now it has context. Now it has something to go with it that had nothing to do with its invention. And it's funny. And the fact that there are now chair earrings, you can get them folded or unfolded. Okay. They've got two types.
That's amazing.
I mean,
I'm not mad at it.
The Negro National Anthem has now had the words changed. Lift every chair and swing.
Fire. That is fire. That is so dope. Like, and again, not promoting violence. I just want to throw that out there. We're not saying that you should beat everyone up and just have chairs. But I'm saying chairs are on sale right now. I'm just saying 2 for 1. Go ahead and pick you up some. You never know.
The parents are teaching their children, and they've got the
right
in the back Wakanda. Because when I saw it, I didn't even say Avengers. I was like, Wakanda's about to come out, and they have the kids swinging and learning how to swing. This is gold. Because at
Oh
no point
man.
in time at no point in time do we intend to go and take chairs and beat people. That is not what
Right.
we're saying. We are saying that this was so funny. This beat down was so well deserved and well executed that we are going to pretend as if we're going to mentally terrorize like every day until it's no longer funny. We're going to make
Yes.
jokes about this, and it
Oh, it's
will
gonna come
not
back.
be funny.
It's gonna come back. Like next year, the anniversary.
Yes.
I'm sure of it. It's stand up comedians. It's going to be a thing. It is cemented in the history books. They are being
Yeah.
printed right now
Yeah.
of the Alabama boat
Oh,
riverboat beating or whatever the case may be. Oh my
oh,
gosh, that was great.
so
That was
great.
that was amazing. And we
Mm.
were saying before, this could be honestly the entire
I have
cast.
no problems
Um,
with that. If we had gotten guests, it would have been great. We could have just had people on and just be like, and where were you on August 5th?
facts. We might have to do that for next week. Um, the next thing we wanted to talk about is so you know that like we said before, there's the strikes and everything that's going on, and it coincides with a lot of things that's happening with the streamers. One of them being Disney. Disney Plus has lost a ton of subscribers. Like
Mhm.
I want to say like 11 million subscribers or something like that.
Mhm.
And Disney is well, they were already talking about responding with raising the prices for Disney and Hulu, Disney Plus and Hulu, and because they're losing money. It's not bringing back the money that they want. And then the strikes are definitely not helping because you don't have any new
Yeah.
shows and stuff like that that's coming. And so it's interesting to me for several reasons. One, because this could potentially work. We've seen it with Netflix when they crack down on the password sharing. That a lot of people were like, "Well,
Mhm.
I'm not using Netflix and everything," but their subscribers went up. And
Yeah.
so everyone's going to be trying to do this now that it worked with Netflix. And I don't know, when I say worked, that's tentative. I don't know if this is going to stay this way
Yeah.
because they did it around a time where it's like, okay, there's some things coming out I want to see.
Mhm.
And so I'm just going to get it for a month and whatever. So, like, they're not counting based on year over year type of stuff. Whereas Disney Plus, who's going to be trying this pretty soon, it's
Mhm.
like, it could in the short span of time it could work. People want to see
Mhm.
these shows, and they know that no new shows are coming, so they might want to watch them. But
Mhm.
in terms of long term growth, might not be the case, especially with the price going up. And it's
Mhm.
interesting because outside of that just being a thing, you would think that you would want to reduce the price considering the strike and
Yeah.
the new or I should say the old CEO,
Bob
um
Iger.
Bob Iger, who came back and he was like, earlier on, he was saying like he doesn't understand the strikes, he doesn't get it, and it's people are just making trouble. He didn't say trouble; he used other words. I'm paraphrasing, but essentially, he's like, it's a big ado. We should have been able to talk about this. But I don't get it. Granted, he's mad rich, so obviously he wouldn't get it. Um, but now he's like, I'm dedicated to like stopping the strike and coming to the table with ideas and all this other stuff. And we're with the price hike and everything is like, yeah, I think you're realizing that when things don't go well, you're kind of the one that the buck stops, similar to the
Mhm.
other guy. Because even though we could argue that the previous CEO might have made some missteps in aggravating certain talent when they did like some of the Marvel films were in theater and on Disney Plus, and how people didn't like that. Same thing with Warner Brothers and how they lost Christopher Nolan. You know, while I think that some of the decisions were smart because of COVID,
Mhm.
at the same time, when things go wrong, you're blamed. And so
Yeah.
obviously that's what happened with the previous guy. He was ousted. They brought Bob back. Bob, he didn't even want to come back. And now he's back. And so you think like you're back when like, not even, I don't even think it's been a year. And we have a full
Mhm.
fledged strike with all these different unions and everything.
Yeah.
And, you trying to make sense of Disney Plus to where you're taking off shows like Willow in order to potentially get a
Mhm.
tax cut. You're taking off, legacy stuff. You're doing all these different things. You're trying to move things around. And then you
Yeah.
come out and you say something like that. And it's like, dog, you're not helping your situation. You're not
No,
really helping at
not at
all.
all.
And so like now with the price going up, it's like, well, outside of the Disney Plus Hulu bundle, which I think is actually a decent bundle now, considering how much both of their prices are going up separately, and the fact that you don't have to have ESPN, so it comes down a little bit.
Mm.
It's in a good spot, and we can always argue whether or not the content is worth, because the consumers don't care that you spent millions on a show. If they don't like the show,
Mm.
they don't care.
Yeah.
So worth and pricing and all that is very subjective here, right? But for what you're getting, I can understand having a price being raised, especially when you bundle it with Hulu. What you don't understand, I guess, or what I can understand from a consumer standpoint, is that with the strike going on, and we know that there's a strike, we know that there's there's going to be a potential lull in what's coming.
Mm-hmm.
Would I want to invest, or would I want to subscribe if that's going to be the case? It's a little bit different with I think with Netflix, because they do this thing where with Tadam and all that, where they showcase a ton of content that's going to be coming throughout 2023. So they're not really
Mm-hmm.
going to feel it per se until 2024, even though, like, I guess in terms of creating the content, it's like, okay, like I think Stranger Things and whatnot, like it's paused, right?
Mm-hmm.
But no one was expecting Stranger Things right now, anyways. So
Mm.
Netflix is a little bit in a buffer, like they're in a okay spot. Whereas Disney Plus is like, oh, you have all these future Star Wars things that are coming, these Marvel shows that are coming, and now that's grinding to a halt. It's like, well, dang, if I wasn't subscribing for the, like, if I don't have I'd have a family, but if I didn't have a family that watched like the old Disney cartoons or Disney films, why would I be subscribing? And now you're raising the price and people aren't writing or making new shows. Why would I do that? It's like a weird spot to be in for them, because they have to raise the money because they're bleeding money with all the stuff. But
Yeah.
then at the same time, it's like this strike is going to be hurting you guys. So
Yeah.
my point to say all that is that Bob's stance shouldn't be, um, I don't understand these people. It should be,
Yeah.
what do you need? Like,
Exactly.
what do
What
you
do you
need
need? Let's have
so
a
we can get this
conversation.
facts, so we can get this rolling? Because at the end of the day, even though this money is coming out somewhere,
Mm-hmm.
whether you push it off to the consumers or whatever the case may be, you have to pay these people. You
Yeah.
have to pay these people, and it's not going to kill it. It's not going to kill you to do that, because you make a lot of money. Like, you guys make a lot, and
Yeah.
they were talking about how much money they had made. When they do um the earnings or whatever, and how
Mm-hmm.
much more money was there. And it's
Mm-hmm.
like, even though things are down, you're still over billions in like, you're still making billions.
Mm-hmm.
You know what I
Yeah.
mean? Like, even though you're down, like there's some losses from Disney Plus, Disney as a whole, in terms of their
Let's go make
going to the
money.
theaters, yeah, you're making so much money that it's not going to hurt you guys, especially if you're passing the buck to the consumers. It's not going to hurt you guys to pay these people just like
Yeah.
something. And then we're not even just talking about the writers. We're talking about the extras and the people behind the camera and the people who don't make a lot of money at all,
Yeah.
who have to struggle just to make ends meet. You can pay these
Yeah.
people to
Let's not
make
talk
these
about
great
unpaid production
shows.
assistants, because
Exactly.
they're
You
all
can pay these
unpaid.
people, in order to get people to stay on your streaming service.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like,
I was disappointed when I haven't been paying attention to the strike as much as I guess it's not paying as much as I want to, but I'm not paying as much attention to a lot of things. But
mm,
I did see Billy Porter say what he said about having to sell his house, and he was like, I have to sell my house because I can't live. We're not working right now, and
right.
they don't want to come to the table. They don't want to meet with us and go over any of our demands. But it was something else that wasn't. I mean, that's sad in of itself. But what upset me was when he said that. Well, Bob didn't. I'm paraphrasing because I don't know exactly what was said, but he said that Bob Iger had said that we're going to starve them out of their homes or something like that. Like a statement like that was made. And I'm like,
Yeah, it was I don't think it was Bob. It was the way they said it was like the higher ups at different places. It was kind of like they were
hmm,
talking amongst themselves, and they were like, we could
okay.
potentially do that, because they have a lot of
Oh,
money.
yeah, they can. Yeah.
But the
So,
problem is that a lot of these companies are publicly traded. And
Yeah.
so if things start to hit too low, you have to talk to your investors. And that's what I was
Mhm.
saying about Bob, because Bob has a cushy job right now. But
Yeah.
if things get too bad and they look at Bob and be like, yo, you're supposed to be steering the ship
Yeah.
and you're crashing into every iceberg you see, like
Yeah.
the other guy, you can be replaced. And the only
Yeah.
reason I think Bob might have a little bit longer than maybe say like a CEO at like I don't know, HBO Max or whatever, is because Bob has done a lot of amazing things. Like he was
Mhm.
them buying Lucas Arts and then buying
Yeah.
Marvel and then buying he
Yeah.
was around for that, right? That gives him
Exactly.
some leeway. But at the same time, it's like, hey, because the investors only care about themselves. So
Right.
you can be thrown under the bus too.
Yeah. Yeah.
Um, you know what I'm saying? And so then this idea of like we're raising the pricing for our streaming service, and one of the selling points of this was that you get all this content for a low price. And it's like if people don't latch on to that, if the subscribers actually go the opposite way of Netflix, it's like, Bob, what you doing? Like, you know what I'm saying? Like,
Yeah.
and so for them to say like, oh, we can star them out, you can technically, but you could also lose your job.
Yeah.
And while you'll still be able to live because you have millions of dollars, well, I don't know your spending, but
Right.
one
Right.
would think you could live based on having millions of dollars in the bank.
Yeah.
If you want to keep making millions, it
Yeah.
would behoove you to do something about the strike in a positive
Exactly.
manner. You know what I'm
Exactly.
saying? But yeah, that is sad. That is sad. I didn't know he lost his house.
He said he had to sell his house. I saw it posted. I think it was I mean he said it on like Instagram, and then next thing you know, like all the news outlets were picking it up to see
Mm.
exactly what he said. But that's really sad just hearing, he said, yeah. Um he said I have to sell my house because of Hollywood strike. That's what he said. And
And
then
that's what they're
yeah.
fighting for. Like they're fighting for people.
Yeah.
I was seeing some of the actors because a lot of people were in the comments
Mhm.
when they were talking about being on strike, and they're like, oh, boo hoo, you make millions and you're whining about some money, and they're like, a lot of us aren't even striking for ourselves. They're
No.
like, some of us don't make any money, and so
Right.
we have solidarity in that because we see
Yeah.
these people every day, the makeup
Right.
artists, the cameraman, we see these people all the time, and it doesn't sit well with us that we make enough money to be comfortable and they
Right.
don't make minimum wage.
Anything.
Like that's
Yeah.
bananas. That part is not even like that you're not, because I don't expect every role to get rich. I don't expect
Right.
that.
Nobody's saying that, yeah.
But to not even get minimum wage, and
Right.
you're a part of, your name is somewhere attached to a Marvel film, makes no sense.
Um,
They make way too much money. They have several films in the $1 billion mark in terms
yes.
of revenue. How do you not make minimum wage?
Yeah. And
Like,
that's the craziest part. I
what is
don't know how
happening?
these contracts are written. I really don't. And I know that a lot of people sign on for pennies. Like they sign on to these things for a very small amount. And but the thing is they're also told by the industry that this is how much worth your what you are doing is.
Which
It's
makes no
one
sense.
which makes it's so unfair. It's like, okay, the potential for a movie to make billions of dollars if you're signing on to an action, this isn't even a trilogy, octology or something,
Right.
or decaology or whatever. If you're signing on to an IP that potentially can make 20 movies in 20 years or release 20 movies in 25 years, um, the potential for money is huge. What I find so interesting in it's not just this, I mean, obviously it's majorly this industry, but it happens in a couple of others too, is that they
Oh yeah.
dictate, like people tell you, and then the people around you dictate what your role is worth, which is so unfair because if every job is pre-dictated, okay, every job money is predictated. Okay, so the PAs make this, and the gaffers make this, and the makeup artists make this, and the XYZ, right, and the actors make this, depending on
Right.
how many lines are on screen time, whatever. Then all of them, if everything is like set out and budgeted, then when the movie makes $1 billion in surplus, okay, let me not just throw out a number there, but if a movie makes $500 million in surplus, okay, of what
Right.
it was budgeted, of like, hey, this is how much everything is going to cost, that extra money, because I know good and well that the makeup artist isn't getting that. Like, I know good and
Right.
well that the gaffer's not getting that. I know good and well that the PA isn't getting that because somebody told them that their job was worth $15 an hour, or somebody told them that this is how much your job is worth. They don't have any bargaining power to ever get more than that. Like, it's very rare. And so if let's just say a movie makes $300 million over what it was ever expected to, and everybody else's contracts are written, and this is how much they got paid X, Y, and Z. I don't know who has contracts that says, by the way, if the movie makes this much over, then this is what the percentage is mine. I don't know who has that, and then I don't know who has even the power, like the audacity, to go into the meeting and say, this is what I want. Because I guarantee you, if a PA did that, they wouldn't get the job.
Exactly. Exactly.
So if there is 200, $300 million in surplus, okay, that ends up being made from X movie, then isn't that money basically going to the studio exec, not
Of
just the studio,
course.
but to the execs? So the execs who are, whatever, splitting it amongst themselves. Three blockbusters came out that year for that studio, and so each of them is bringing home $200 million. And
Right.
I'm,
And
I'm
it's
throwing out numbers, but
right. Because it's not the breakdown. We won't know the breakdown, the
mhm,
exact breakdown, but we do know that, like, and this happens because this happens in the video game industry as well, where
yeah,
you'll see a CEO get a bonus of
yeah,
a goofy amount of millions, and it's like, where did
yeah.
that bonus money come from? Oh, it came from
Yeah.
the surplus of money that we've made, essentially because we're not paying people. The fact that someone can get and I actually saw this from big shows, a royalty check for like what, a
12
dollar and some
cents.
change.
Yeah. Mhm.
Like, the check itself, the paper costs more than the royalty.
Thank you.
Um, but the show actually made a lot of money and is making a lot of money. Like,
Yeah,
and
still.
I know things are a little weird because of and I talked about this before with streamers, where because these shows aren't syndicated like they used to be, where this show is popular, so now we put this show on another network, and that network, we're licensing it, so that's where that extra money came from.
Mhm.
Like, you think of like the Fresh Prince of Bel Air, all the
Mhm.
actors from that were getting a lot of money over the years because it kept being licensed all around the place.
Yeah, yeah.
Well, if you have a streamer, it's like was on the Stranger Things is on Netflix, it's only on Netflix. You know what I'm saying? So that's not gonna
Mhm.
get syndication, so it's not gonna get that money.
Yeah.
But the streamers are like, or the companies are like, well, we're just gonna pay you this. And it's like, well, we can't live off that. It was
Yeah.
different if we got paid, and to break it down for everybody, if you get paid a small amount for a show, but then you
Mhm.
live off a residual, you're more readily okay with getting paid a small amount upfront. But
Mhm.
if you're not getting that, you're not gonna want a small amount upfront because you have to live in between these shows. Like, when the
Yep.
show isn't airing or you're not working on it, you're not getting paid.
Yeah.
So you need a larger sum up front, and the streamers weren't trying to do that. Um, and now this is even more murky because now all the streamers are adding a ad version. So now you have
Yeah.
advertisement money. Like, it's really murky, and like there's no set ruling for it. But when it came to the table of like, hey, our contracts are up with the unions and everything, and or the unions coming to the table for the creators
Mhm.
and being like, hey, they need more money because they can't live, and we know that you guys are making however much money, and we know that even though things were funky, we need to work something out so we all get paid. And they're
Mm.
like, no, this is just how we're gonna do it. And it's like, well, we can't live off that. We can't continue to die for you to make absorbent amount of money. And that's the
Yeah.
problem. It's not even like it's not like, Bob is making like $23 an hour and this person over here is only making $5 an hour. It's like, no, Bob, you've made there's people who work their entire lives on like the best things
Mhm.
ever and will never touch a million.
Mhm.
You have
Never.
several millions.
Mhm.
Like,
Per year.
right. So I don't understand how you don't I understand why you don't understand why people are upset, but the fact that they can't, people are selling the houses, people are saying that they can't eat. Like,
Yeah.
there's been a lot of talk about people not having, they had to sleep with, like bunk with someone
Yeah.
If you're working on the Orange is the New Black, you should not have to do that. One of the
Yeah.
actresses on the Orange is the New Black was like, you know, the show is great and everything, but in terms of her livelihood, not so much.
Yeah. It's
One
so
of the
true.
biggest shows. And
Yeah.
what's crazy is uh that show was released. Is one of the few shows that was released outside of Netflix. You can actually go buy
Mhm.
DVDs. You
Yeah, you
can
can buy
buy
it.
the digital versions of those. A lot of shows don't get that. And
Yeah.
so it has room to make even more money and they're not
Mhm.
getting any of it.
Yeah.
Like
It's insane. It's
just just be fair.
just be
Like
fair and remember that like a lot of people who they don't understand this industry all they like there's a lot of people like that, a lot of people who will just generalize and they'll be like, oh, people who work for the government make these big salaries. No, guys, I worked for the government for 6 years and I made trash. I made $15.32 an hour, and the highest I ever made there was like 18 something. I was a GS5 the entire time. Well, really a GS4 when I was a contractor, and I was a GS5, and I never got any higher than that. I did not make any money. So no, stop saying that everybody who works for the government makes a lot of money. And then they're like, everybody who works in Hollywood makes a lot of money. That is a lie. Okay.
yes.
Hollywood, no, no. Okay. That's really not true. And all actors don't make a lot of money. When somebody says they're an actor, it doesn't mean that they are a a blockbuster actor. It means that they do commercials. Okay. It means that they may do small things and they don't necessarily get that much money. But also, you see people out here picketing, like you saw Robert Downey Jr. was out there. You know, you saw
Right.
um, um, what's his face? I was Smeagol. Like you saw there's so many people, you know, big
Right.
names, because again, just like you said, they're sticking up for the people who are not getting paid. And what's his face? The dude who played he was on Insecure. I always forget his name, but I follow him on Instagram because I just can't get over him and I love him. But
The guy who played Lawrence.
not Lawrence. What's his face? The other boyfriend. The other
Oh,
boyfriend.
the light skinned cat.
Yes, yes, yes.
What
But so
is
he
his
was,
name?
I forgot. But he was picketing, and and so he did a video and he was talking about how, you know, he's out there advocating for young black actors.
Kendrick.
Yes, Kendrick, thank you. So he's out there and he's like, you know, I mean, he had his thing on there and people were doing stupid comments and saying things. They're like, if you can afford gold things, because he was wearing his, he's special, but he's wearing his gold, you can afford gold things, you don't need to be out there. Can he be out there to support other people? And then also on top of
Right.
that, he may have gotten good money off of Insecure or whatnot. But just because you were on Insecure does not mean that your life is straight for the rest of your life. Even like Issa had to work real. Issa did a lot of stuff before Insecure got on HBO and was not living large. Okay.
Right.
Like it
And
takes
one
a
purchase
long,
doesn't mean you're like trust me, those don't cost as much as you think. Like
yeah,
go down south, fam. They don't cost as much as you think. Chill.
no,
It'd be different if he had a grill of diamonds. It's not the same.
yeah,
It's
it's,
gold,
yeah,
fam.
you can get it pretty cheap. It's like you can get them
Yeah.
for $30. It's
Like I
not
don't
like,
understand where that come from. Like just
right.
do some googling. Like good grief.
Seriously, it's gold. I remember getting a gold pair of earrings when I was 12 years old or 13, and they cost $25. And I thought that that was a hell of a lot of money. But
Yeah, gold hasn't been like I mean gold is it's coming back, but it hasn't been like mad pricey since forever. Like
seriously, it's not platinum.
yeah, like
Mm,
it's okay. It's all right. He's
yeah,
yeah. But even then, even if he had like a Gucci outfit,
right.
it's like what does it say? Your opinion on someone doing something cuz someone said this to me when I was like a while ago when I was like advocating for something
Hmm.
and trying to position or have me be positioned as someone who shouldn't advocate because I don't suffer
Right.
from A, B, and C. And it's like, why would we only want the people who are suffering to be the what you need people who
There.
aren't suffering. Like
Exactly.
you need help. That's the whole
Yeah.
point. None of that makes sense to me.
Doesn't make sense.
Like you have
Well, the whole
you
people,
know
black people needed white allies so that the white allies could talk to the white people making laws and say, hey, this is wrong. Stop treating people like this. Hello?
right
Like, are
part of the
people special?
underground railroad. Did you think we were going to black people's houses? No. These
Thanks.
were white people
We're going
because
to
we
white
couldn't
people's houses. Okay.
We would get pulled out of the house. Like, come on, fam.
Come
It's
on.
just Google people. But yeah,
I'm sitting here
it's
advocating for reparations. I'm not getting no reparations. I have maybe not discussed this on the pod, but I'm African. Okay. I'm Ghanaian. I'm not getting them. They're not giving me the reparations. Okay. Literally, somebody had said that to me, like, what are you so pressed about? What are you fighting for? Can I not see Black people happy and successful?
can we not care about other people? Like, that's what you're basically saying. We
What
can't care about other people.
Can
And
I
then,
can I not want all native land returned to natives? Like, is that I'm not allowed to do that? I'm not
like,
allowed to wish for that.
but that's what it said. It's like you can't care. They don't care. They don't care about other people. And so it's weird to them that you would care about other people. It's an odd thing. It's an odd thing.
People are
Shout out to
weird.
all Black people. Shout out to all Black people, especially those with folding chairs. The last thing we wanted to talk about was, and this is actually good news, is the Marvel VFX workers are fighting to unionize. Um, and I'm getting this from IGN. Shout out to Alex Stedman. She's been a guest on our show, uh, and one of the only people who likes what was it, Wheel of Time? She said she liked. No, it was dang, what was the show she said she liked? And we kind of like paused. I can't remember. That's how bad the show is. But nah, shout out to Alex. Alex is the homie. But yeah, she wrote up an article about
Wait,
how
Rings of
uh
Power?
yeah, it was
No,
Rings of Power. No,
She liked Wheel of Time and Rings of Power, right?
yes, she liked Wheel of Time, and we were like, wow.
We need her
It
to
was
come back. In
yep.
fact, we need to have a very, very long conversation about those shows. Like, I will go
Yeah,
back and
she's
watch them to talk with her.
yes, we gotta get them both back on. But
Yes, the
yeah,
both of them.
she interviewed and that's Mark we're talking about, Mark from
Yes, right.
GameSpot. But yeah,
Hmm.
Alex she interviewed some Marvel VFX workers, and people who don't know, they're the people who basically work on all the Marvel films in terms of like the special effects and things of that
Hmm.
nature. And recently, want to say earlier this week, um, a lot of the workers at Marvel voted to file for a union election at the National Labor Relations Board to be represented by the International Alliance of Theoretical Theor blah, blah, blah.
Theatrical?
That word, yes, stage employees, or IATSE. And basically what this means is that they are they're fed up essentially.
Yeah, and
And
they
a
should be.
union being able to unionize means that they could actually do things like go on strike. Being
Yeah.
able to unionize means that they can better barter for uh, you know better working hours. Because right now they were talking about how they were sometimes working 18-hour days. They're
Yeah,
not
not
getting
getting
paid what they
paid.
should be getting paid, even though the companies are making so much money. They're not getting paid what they should be, and a lot of the work isn't even being appreciated because of the rushing or the crunch that they have to go through. A lot of the stuff
Hmm.
that comes out some of the times doesn't look as good, and people we've if you look at Twitter and any of the Marvel shows and how people are talking about them, a lot of times they're like, it's too dark or it's too this or it's too that. Like any of the stuff that people say about them, good or bad, it's like their work is always subject to scrutiny,
Yeah.
and people don't realize that they're working in conditions that aren't the best.
Yeah.
Um, so, like pulling some quotes from her article, one of them says, "These are companies which are making billions of dollars off our work, uh, and we're asking to be put on the same deal as the people working alongside us and be given access to things like healthcare and a pension fund and the basic protections of work. We feel that this is one of the most reasonable demands that anyone's ever made." And this is coming from Mark Patch, who's a VFX organizer for the
Hmm.
IATSE and a former coordinator of Disney Plus WandaVision. Um,
Mm.
so yeah, so basic things like healthcare, like just listen to that.
Yeah. Yeah.
Access to healthcare. What
Yeah.
I'm thinking is happening is that a lot of these are contracted,
They
like
are. They're
contract work.
contract positions.
And with contract work, you're not given all of because you're not technically an
Mm-mm.
employee.
You're a
You're just
1099.
doing you're just doing a job for however long. And so a lot of them will get rolled over. Like you'll come back for another job, but it's
Yeah.
still contract work. And usually, because we talked about this with Nintendo a while
Hmm.
back, how the promise is that, oh, if I do good enough, I'll become a full-time employee.
Yeah.
If I make any type of if I go to my boss and be like, hey, we're not getting paid enough or we're not blah, 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 I will get replaced with someone else who wants to be in my spot because they think that
Mhm.
they'll be getting a full-time position. And that's how they kind of keep you in line. You know what I mean?
Mhm.
Like, don't leave your
Yeah.
cushy job at Marvel. At the very least, Marvel is on your resume. You know what I'm saying? And it's not all what it's cut out to be. Um, they talked about how um, that they're looking to be protected under certain terms, minimum wage increases, and pension, healthcare plan, turnaround improvements, um, and just basically better working environment,
Mm.
where they're not crunching to try to like get these, get everything done for a film that's getting ready to drop.
Yeah.
I think one of the people was saying that they weren't allowed to leave for 2 weeks. Like they were like, you can't take any days off for however many days until you
Yeah.
get this done for like
Yeah.
an episode of one of the Disney Plus shows. And
Yeah.
it's like, wow, like
Yeah.
that's kind of
It's
rough. Um,
project work, and it's project work because it's like you have timed deliverables. And
right.
that basically, I think that's kind of what it comes with, in a way that maybe some other people can understand. Because maybe some people don't really understand what, like, maybe how to, like, how or what we're talking about. But think of it in that think of it, project management. Deliverables are due X, Y, and Z at this time. And a project is funded, a project is budgeted, and this is how much money the project gets. And so this is how much
Yep.
money people are going to be paid, regardless of how many hours they have to put in, especially if hours are not negotiated into the project in payment form. Like if you say, okay, well, these are billable hours. Well, if the contract didn't negotiate that, if the contract was worth $100
Yep.
million, it's $100 million and that's it. And if your employer didn't say, oh, by the way, if you work this many, no, this is how much money it is. This is how much you're getting paid. Everybody is getting paid this much, blah, 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 blah. And that's it. So if you worked 14 hours, it doesn't make a difference if you worked 8 hours. Between 8 hours or 14 hours or 18 hours in that same day, you're still getting the same amount of money, because all they care about is that at the end of the project, at the end of when the deliverable is due, the work is done. And so what typically happens with people like this is that the deliverable is due and you end up making, I don't want to say you end up making your own hours, but because the deliverable is due Friday, in two
Yep.
weeks from now on Friday, you realize, you're like, hey, the only way it's going to get done by that day is if I work 18-hour days. And then, especially if, like, people will set up the projects to where they're working normal hours in the beginning, maybe normal. Okay, when I say normal, I mean accounting hours. Okay.
Right.
Everybody knows that a part-time accountant works 45 hours a week, because if you didn't, you know now.
right.
um but the point is that that's what they're doing. They might be working 45-hour weeks, and then all of a sudden those 45-hour weeks turn into 80-hour weeks, because they're like, hey, we're not going to get this done. Typically, when you have change orders, like in a no, let me talk about non animation construction. When there's a change order because a new
Mhm.
material needs to be used, let's say that you're installing flooring, okay, and the flooring that you are installing is being shipped from Italy, and unfortunately it's going to get caught up in customs for 9 weeks. And that, not only is that, I mean, you budgeted for the cost, but if it gets caught up in customs, your team is going to be 9 weeks behind, and you're going to end up having to pay more in labor and all that kind of stuff. So now you need a change order because you need to change the flooring. So
Mhm.
whether or not it costs less or more to get a different flooring on time so that you don't blow out your budget on labor, a change order gets put in, and that may decrease the amount of the total cost or may increase the amount of the total cost. That's the only time when money is changed. And that's the only time where you could actually say at the end of the day, okay, well, we had budgeted for 1 million, but we had these change orders, and this made the project cost 1.5 because these change orders. That's a different
Right.
story. What they're trying to say is that that's not what's happening.
Exactly.
If they were getting more money for change orders, that would have been that's one thing, and that's something else to be discussed. But it's basically just saying, hey, you're required to do all of this stuff for this one set amount, and it's not enough to live off of because you are putting in 20 hours in a day. You can't live your life. You can't get a sick day. You can't do anything. You can't get any weekends off. You can't get any days off during a week because this type of project requires so much work
Yep.
And if you do deliver, okay, if the deliverable is due, they said, hey, this is what we need by this date, and you deliver, and then they come back and they say, hey, the shading on Loki's helmet is not right.
Hmm. You gotta fix it.
You got to fix it. And that's
And
not a
then,
change order. That's not more money. That's
yeah,
you
it's
not
like you should.
completing the deliverable, even though you did what you thought you were supposed to do.
Exactly, and the only reason it's not the shading isn't right is because you've been crunching for however long, and this is cyclical too because you think about
Mhm.
it. If you do manage to hit the timeline, the next time when you bring this up and be like, "Hey, we're working too much," blah 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 blah, they're like, "Well, you met the deadline, so apparently everything is good." It's like, well, no, we you know went way out of our way to get this done, but that's not we don't want that to be the norm. Like it should be better. And they're like, well, no, you got it done. So
Yeah.
or they'll be like, we can actually pay you less because technically you didn't, you know what I'm saying? Like it's so many things that this kind of goes wrong in it makes it hard to negotiate, which is why they
Yeah.
need to unionize. Um
Unions. They do. Everything needs a
another
union.
right.
It's true.
Another person pointed out that they're like, when you're turning a 90-minute movie into a 10-hour feature, basically you're
Mhm.
doing 10 times the amount of work with the same or even sometimes a shorter time period. Practically from Marvel, we certainly have seen since COVID and streaming the amount of demands on our time and mental and physical health just
Mhm.
explodes. So you think Disney Plus, COVID, people are watching streamers way more. They want to make sure that they've already said that they're going to have all these different shows and we want to stick to this timeline because these shows are tied to these movies that are coming out at this particular time, so
Yes.
you got to make sure that these shows hit before the films comes out.
Yep.
And so it's like, oh wow, and then like shows like WandaVision, they aren't, I mean, there's a lot of visual effects in that show, like
Yeah.
special effects and everything. Like this isn't just this
Not
isn't the
just a
Captain
regular
America one.
show.
Exactly.
Yeah.
um and so there's a ton of content and a ton of work that they have to do, and you know crunching in this environment, not making enough money, not having, so that what's going to happen is you're going to get sick because
Yeah.
you're working all the time. You don't have the time to rest. You're going to
Yeah.
get sick, but you can't stay at home because you're like, I got to finish this thing. It just keeps going, and what happens is burnout, which is what we
Yep.
talked about in the beginning of the cast. You will get burnt out,
You
and a
get
lot of
burned
people will
out.
end up leaving, or just having just bad health problems, and it just no win there. And what happens is those people get replaced with new people who don't know. They're just like, oh, this is Marvel. This is great. I'm going to be working on some amazing things. And then you get stuck. And it's like, yeah, it just keeps going. And Marvel keeps making money.
Yeah,
It just
they
keeps making
do.
money, you know?
Yeah.
And to also to make people understand a little bit more, Marvel is owned by Disney. So think about all the things
Yeah.
we were talking about previously. This applies. So yeah, the fact that they're unionizing, I hope they unionize and then I hope
Yeah.
they strike. I hope they strike.
Yeah.
Marvel does not want this to happen, obviously,
Nope.
and because it gives them power. It gives them power, negotiating power. But they
Yeah.
need it. And
Yeah.
same thing to animators working on, because I was reading about that too with Sony and different places. There's
Mhm.
this whole, and we're not going to get into it because we're coming up on our time, but
Yeah.
this whole thing that happened with Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse or Across the Spider-Verse, and how
Mhm.
all the different types of animation, some things had to be redone, and there was crunch there too. You know what I'm saying? And the only bright spot I saw was like with the Ninja Turtles film that came out recently, which is great. Um, that the animators were they were saying that the animators were all the animation that was done in that film, it was done in a way that made it okay for the animators. They didn't have to burn and like, obviously you're gonna have some long nights here or there, but it wasn't to the detriment of the crew.
Mhm.
So at least that someone is doing it right. But
Yeah.
a lot of people, this is like the industries that you're in, the creative industries, people aren't getting paid enough. They're working way too much, too hard for too long, and they're tired of it. So everyone is striking
Yep.
from the creative side all the way down to UPS, which is interesting because UPS, they didn't even get to strike because the people above them are smart. They were like,
Yep.
hey, y'all want more money? We got you.
We're gonna give it to you.
$49 an hour. There you go. You
Yep.
guys are making a goofy amount of money now for even part-time. I think it's $25
Yeah.
an hour. So like
Yeah.
UPS is like, we cannot have you striking. So
No,
here you go.
you can't, because not in the world that we live in right now, not this post-COVID world, where everything has to be delivered. I just slight not detour, but I remember seeing again somebody posting, so there's so many people who are out here who are just so anti-union and anti-strike, and they for some reason think everybody is greedy, and I'm like, no, they're not. It's a little bit unfair, because I remember seeing a UPS worker posting about the strike. They're like, we're getting ready to strike, we're going to do it, this is how much money I make, but this is how much money I made 10 years ago. There's no reason as to why I'm still doing the same job 20 years old, 10 years older, and I can't ask for more money. It
Right.
doesn't make any sense. It's like I am older, and this is a physical job, and I've been doing the job. I do the job well. I have more responsibilities now in my job. More things are expected of me. I deserve a raise. Like, you cannot sit there and just do a job and then just be happy. Like, just think for yourself that you should never get a raise. Why are people like that? Like, why are people like, they say, oh, you work at McDonald's, you shouldn't get being paid X, Y, and Z. Like, I don't really understand why that hurts you so much, that a person from McDonald's could make, $12 an hour. Like, it's
It's a
fine.
really goofy way of
It's
living,
goofy.
because if
Yeah.
those people stopped, if everyone at UPS stopped, if
Yeah.
everyone at McDonald's stopped, if everyone at any of these places that you say that they shouldn't be paid however much they should be paid stops,
Yeah.
your world goes upside down.
Yeah.
Like, we saw that with the pandemic. We saw how valuable people working at grocery stores were, people working
Yeah.
at, delivering food was. We saw that, and them asking to just to be able to survive, because they could be
Yeah.
like you and be like, you know what, I don't want to work at McDonald's because I should be getting a better, like, I need a better job.
Hmm.
It doesn't matter that I like to cook. It
Yeah.
doesn't matter that I actually like being a waitress. It doesn't matter that I
Yeah.
like doing these things. I'm just going
Yeah.
to go get a better job. So let someone else have it. And since you don't want to do it and no one else wants to do this job
Hmm.
just fades
It
away.
vanishes.
And then,
Hmm.
and you're stuck. You're stuck. And they don't realize it until it happens. It's like you're stuck. The things that you think are just mundane,
Yeah.
doesn't require a lot of thought, et cetera, et cetera. You can't do it. You won't do it.
Right.
And you need these people, because all of you use these. The reason why you're complaining so much is you use this. You don't want the
Yeah.
strike. And
Exactly.
UPS delivers more than just like TVs during Christmas. They
Yeah.
deliver medication.
Yes.
I
All
have
day
family
long, all
members
day
who
strong.
get FedEx, UPS, and some of the other carriers. I have family members who get medication. Needed medication is
Yep.
is delivered to them.
Yep.
So this isn't like a small ask that, hey, since I'm doing something important, can
Exactly.
I get enough money to live? Because I'll keep doing the job.
Yeah.
Obviously, the dude who's doing it for 10 years enjoys the job, or he would have went somewhere else. It's not like he couldn't be a carrier at another company.
Right.
There's plenty.
Exactly.
You feel me? So like the fact that he enjoy, like, pay him then. That's the
Yeah.
worker you
Yeah.
want to pay. Like
Yeah,
that's
you want to keep the guy. You want to keep the people who are doing a good job. Like, I mean, it really blows me, because I'm sitting here not understanding why they're like, oh, you shouldn't get paid. Do you want horrible employees that get, you know what I mean? Like, reward people for doing a good job. That is what I will
exactly.
never understand. You found a good. It's never easy to find good people. You have good employees. Keep them and make sure that they're happy. If it's not just salary, then you make sure that they have all types of benefits that make them happy. There's so many things that you can give to employees that make their, salary much better, and that you get at a discount. Like, we've talked about this a long time ago, but like, insurance doesn't it is, I should not insurance. Life insurance is one of the cheapest things that a company can offer.
Yeah.
Life insurance is actually very, very cheap thing, because not everybody is just keeling over and dying. Okay, it's something that that many jobs never have to pay out. So it's so
Hmm.
cheap. But the point is that it's offered. That is part of your benefit package, because if you do have loved ones and you do unexpectedly, bite the get a chair upside the head. I don't know. Like, if something happens.
Get out of my head. I was thinking that.
We're never gonna let it go.
Facts. Yeah, if you catch a random chair, and you clock out, then it's good to have that money. But
Good.
yeah, it's not. There's a lot of things that people, and I'll end it on this. There's a lot of people things that people complain about that they shouldn't complain about
Yeah.
because it directly affects them, and that's just on a selfish side. I'm not even thinking
Yeah.
about like being a freaking human. I'm just saying on a selfish side, if I was mad selfish, I still would shut up because these things help me.
Yeah.
These things help. They
Yeah.
help you.
Yeah.
Shut up.
Yeah. And don't
Let
be a
them get their
hater.
money.
Don't be a
This
hater just
idea, like,
because yeah.
and like, because then you think about it, like, we see the strikes happening, and this is
Yeah.
a good example. The strikes are happening, and someone else is like, "Oh, we should strike too," and then someone else is like, "Yeah, we should join you," and then what happens is there all these things are having an effect, a positive effect.
Yeah.
They're able to change things because people are joining in solidarity.
Yeah.
Um, I think some of the writers on the striking joined with some of the people on the service side. It's
Mhm.
totally two different industries, but they were picketing it in the same area. And it's like, oh look, we could actually make a difference that can benefit everybody, even the
Yeah.
people that comes after us, if we just join up and shut up. Why are
Yeah.
you defending the people who are making the most money,
Thank
who do
you.
very little? Why?
Little.
If any people you want to say like, hey, you shouldn't be complaining about money, or you shouldn't get it, are the people who are making millions of dollars who aren't doing a lot of work. They
Right.
aren't.
They're not the ones crunching. Like
They're
they're
not. Like,
not.
overseeing something, I understand you have to have an eye for things. So I'm not saying you're not talented,
Yeah,
but
and everything that.
you aren't spending 18-hour days
Yeah.
like correcting, still frames or whatever the
Shading.
case may be. You're not doing any of this.
Yeah.
You have good health insurance. Like,
Yeah. Yeah.
anyways, that is our show for
For
today.
sure.
Thank you guys for hanging out with us and checking out
Yeah.
the Gamecast. We appreciate you. If you're listening on
Yeah.
YouTube, feel free to subscribe, hit that notification bell so you're up on all the new content. If you're listening on Spotify, and actually, I meant to say this earlier. Steezer, I think, is going to be no more in the next few weeks. I got an email about them. They're shutting down. Stitcher, sorry, Stitcher is
Oh,
going
okay.
away. They're going to be rolling into, or most of the web pages that are attached to Stitcher is going to be rolled into their sister app Pandora. So if you
Oh,
listen to us on Stitcher, know that you can actually go to. I believe you'll be able to go to Pandora to listen.
yeah.
But they're going to be ending operations on August 29th. So
Oh,
you won't be
okay.
able to access our show on the Stitcher app anymore. So
Mm,
just for folks to know, you can't listen to us there after that transition.
okay.
But you should be able to go to Pandora. Um, you should be able to go to Pandora, or I want to say Sirius XM. There's some things you would have to do to kind of tweak that so your feed will automatically transition over outside
Mhm.
of Pandora. But it's all, if you're subscribed to Stitcher, you should be getting these emails anyways, and they'll tell you kind of how to work it. But I just want to let you guys know so you're not like, oh man, you're not putting up episodes anywhere. No, it's not us. There is just things that happen. But the other places, Google Podcasts and stuff like that is still up. So definitely add us to your RSS feeds there. And yeah, we'll be back with some more episodes. Hopefully, no one else is catching a chair to the face. But if they are, we will talk about it. We
We'll
will
talk
definitely,
about it.
we'll definitely talk about
Definitely. Yeah. That's it, y'all. Wash your faces and your hands and your butts and stuff. It's be kind, wear your mask if necessary, just do those things, get your COVID boosters and all that stuff. And yeah, go buy some jerseys.
it.
That's it, y'all. Bye bye.